For the championship-winning number 8 car, it's at the head of the queue at the end of pit lane, and proudly on its flank says the Le Mans 24 Hours 2019. Kessel Racing will be racing at Le Mans as a result of that. Back into action this weekend, the number 50, another Kessel Racing entered car, John Hartshorn and Ollie Hancock aboard the, I think, splendid-looking red and black Ferrari 488. Portuguese flag and the trees around the circuit showing that it's a very breezy day indeed. That could cause some trickiness a couple of places. It's a 7-car grid, 6 Ferraris, all 488 GTEs and 1 Porsche.
Yes, and the extra car is the number 83, which we haven't seen so far this year, at least as a team entry. Manuela Gosner, the Italian, joining with Giorgio Cernigiotto, a regular in the ELMS, of course, with Cetala Villorba Corsa. So welcome to those guys, and that makes a 4th car for the Swiss squad, Kessel Racing. And
I think with Manuela, that is the first female driver we've had in the Le Mans Cup since the Flick Haig, who went on, of course, to win the British GT Championship this year. So who knows, Manuela? Championship success, that might be a bit ominous for something that might come later for you. Manuela, ex-Ferrari 1-make racer, as well as other GT outings, but great to see her taking a look at mixed class racing here in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. And there are, I think, all 7 cars. Yes, all 7 cars at pit out. And there is that abstract blue and green livery. Looks great on the number 8 car.
It certainly does. And I like the calendar dates down the nose as well. So much to be excited about, obviously, for Kessel Racing. They may well have been to Le Mans before, preparing cars under other entries' names, but next year, 2019 in June, will be the first time that Kessel Racing will officially have their name above the garage door.
And there will be, by the way, some exciting news from Kessel Racing in the coming days about programme for next year. So good stuff to come from Tatiana Borghi and her fine band from Switzerland. They have had Le Mans winning success previously, handling the Scuderia Corsa GTM win just a few seasons ago, but this will be the first time that a famous name in GT racing will race at the Le Mans 24 Hours under their own name, and it's inconceivable that that be with anything other than a Ferrari.
Of course. A number of times winners of races like the Gulf 12 Hours and also other events in endurance racing, certainly no strangers to the ELMS paddock either, to the Michelin Le Mans Cup paddock, I should say. So they have an unassailable championship lead now on 112 points, and therefore seal the championship with a round to go. 35 points back are Spirit of Race with their number 51 Ferrari. Another Kessel Ferrari is 3rd in the championship on 64, that's car 77, and AF Corsa make it 4 Ferraris in the top 4. The best Porsche being run by EB Motors, which is car 88. The green flag is waved, and 15 minutes of qualifying gets underway then for the GT3 element of the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Pretty certain, by the way, and following on from an example I previously can only remember seeing on Little Toyota GT4 run by the Stella Racing team in the British GT Championship, that the abstract part of that livery, I'm pretty certain, are representations of the circuits for the Michelin Le Mans Cup on the flanks of that car.
Okay.
I think if we get a closer look at that, I think you'll see they are circuit outlines.
Fantastic, I like it. Yeah, I think you're right. There's Red Bull Ring. And Portimão, I think I identified as well briefly there. So that's the first car to be released from the pit lane, and already has quite a distance over everybody else. That's probably the choice of the following Ferrari then to slow up. John Hartshorn, it will be, driving the number 50 machine. And a reminder that a key part of this championship, when you come to qualifying on a Saturday, is that it's the bronze driver that has to do the hard work here, the heavy lifting. We have a unique weekend in terms of the Michelin Le Mans Cup race being held on a Sunday, and that's Sunday morning. But qualifying in its traditional slot, although after the ELMS, I think, because we've got that little bit of flexibility now on Saturday afternoon. Conditions perfect, there'll be plenty of grip out there, although having said that, an early spin for the number 88 Porsche. So it will be Andrea Baccani leaving the scene of turn 6, slightly red-faced. but he will rejoin the session, obviously without any time lost as such, because that was an outlap for Alessandro Baccani, excuse me, the 51-year-old, and that car has already got a pole position to its name. So, and I believe it's Baccani that did the time earlier on in the session, although he shares with another bronze driver, Paolo Venarossi. There was a choice to be made then this morning as to who was to be doing the qualifying.
Up and over the crest towards the start of what will be the first flying lap of the session. The privilege of that goes to the championship winner, Sergio Piazzolla, and away we go.
Yeah, Piccini, Giacomo Piccini then, a mere spectator, willing Piazzolla on with every turn of the wheel. And of course, it's Piccini's part of his job is bringing Piazzolla on and encouraging him, giving him the advice necessary between the sessions, looking at all the telemetry as well, trying to find those little ways of getting the lap time down. And Sergio Piazzolla, a hugely more experienced driver just after this one season of racing, he's got to be a shoe-in for a Le Mans drive potentially next year.
You would think that's part of the game here, would you not, in terms of the developmental curve? And well, whilst the numbers in the GT3 category here are perhaps not what some race watchers might like to see, it's been incredibly successful in bringing forward new GTE contenders. First 2 seasons of the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and the GT3 only year, TF Sports were graduates from that as winners. Last year, EB Motors as winners, now firm part of the ELMS GTE contingent with their Porsche 911 RSR. And I think we're going to see Kessel Racing stepping up, and I no doubt that there won't be just a single outing for a GTE car under the Kessel Racing banner next year. There you can see, there are indeed circuit outlines.
Very cool. That car then has won on 4 separate occasions this year at Ricard, Monza, Red Bull Ring and Spa. At Le Mans, it took the championship took a slightly different perspective, complexion, because it was a win for the 71 Ferrari on the Thursday, and on the Saturday morning of the big race, the 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari of Maurizio Mediani and Christoph Ulrich took victory. But in the kind of bread and butter rounds, the 2-hour affairs, it's always been the number 8 car.
So it's the 1:51.009 for Piazzolla in the championship winning number 8 Kessel Racing car. But also on a quick lap here is Baccani. After that little whoopsie, it's 0.448 back, but it's in the 151s for the number 88 Porsche. There it is. Splendid looking beast. Unique outline, of course, in an otherwise all Ferrari.
Yeah.
Septet, 151.0. 151.4.
Car very much off the road, and that's the 51 Ferrari of Christoph Ulrich. Now, I'm just trying to work out whether all Michelin tyres are inflated on that car. There might be a problem on the right rear. Yeah. And that's the reason why Ulrich isn't rejoining straight away. He just pulled off. So it wasn't a spin, it wasn't a moment. It's Christoph Ulrich realising that something's not quite right with that Ferrari.
Doesn't look right, does it?
Is it crabbing, maybe?
Just difficult to tell. No, it's definitely the problem with the left rear.
But the tyre's inflated from
it's the wheel or the hub.
Yes.
But he just set 3rd quickest time, and it is a red flag, I'm afraid, with 9.5 minutes or so to go in the session. It just looked as if the car, as it came by us, something was wrong with that left rear wheel.
Yes, so Christoph Ulrich probably doing the sensible thing there and getting the car off the road, thinking that would be a safe place to park, but Eduardo Freitas deciding the best option, with a little bit of time in hand, is to get that car recovered under a red flag, and then we can go qualifying again, still with 9 minutes and 42 seconds on the clock. Is that another new paint scheme for a Ferrari?
I think that's reasonably close to where we've seen before.
Yeah,
you know
the
what
front
it is?
looks, it might be just the sunshine.
It's the sunshine. I think it's exactly the sunshine. Should say, by the way, track limits here have been an issue in the European Le Mans Series qualifying previously and in free practice. I was called in to the driver's briefing for Michelin Le Mans Cup specifically by birthday boy, happy birthday sir, Eduardo Freitas, to hear, no, it's the front right, isn't it, by the look of that?
On Ulrich's car, yeah, possibly.
It's very odd.
I mean, the front wheel wasn't straight, but I think that was because of a bit of steering input that Ulrich had put in, and now he's creeping away. The recovery pickup arrives, and Christoph Ulrich goes, I'm fine, you know, I'm just going to continue on now. That was strange. Now, is this Ulrich's car leaving the pit lane? No, that was a replay of another Ferrari, I think.
A new penalty, by the way, announced by Eduardo Freitas. 4 track limits violations, particularly here at Portimão, a circuit he knows better than most.
Yes.
He's not that local, but it's very much one of his favoured circuits. Proudly Portuguese race director. Too many track limit violations, and the race control staff will escort you to the in-house swimming pool, outdoor swimming pool, and you will be thrown into it.
So that was officially decided yesterday?
It was in the driver's briefing for both the ELMS and the Mon Cup. It must be true.
It must be. I'm sure it's in black and white, printed somewhere on a document, hurriedly printed out late last night. The fact that Christoph Ulrich is moving again suggests maybe all 4 wheels are pointing in the right direction.
It was odd. I know there's some banking to the turn, a couple of these turns, left and right, by the way, and that is one of the turns where there is some banking. So whether or not that was just an odd optical effect of the camber.
Okay, yes. Sorry, I thought you were going in the direction of fuel pickup then because of the banking.
I think it was just the visual that we were seeing.
Well, they obviously run these cars pretty light because it's qualifying, but not that light that we're going to have an issue with fuel. It's more likely to be electrical then if it's sort of in and out like that. Yeah. And maybe he's done a recycle of the ECU, just turn the car off basically and turn it back on again, and that may well have solved it. But he's not going any speed. We have got a red flag though, so
he has actually made it through. Here we go. This is into the final sector. It is not going that quickly, but then again we're under red flag.
Well, I think that's the reason. Yeah, yes.
But we'll hear from Eduardo Freitas shortly that this will be starting again under a short call.
Engine seems like it's on all 8 cylinders there.
It does,
and it's now heading through. The car's heading through turn 14 and on to 15. The 51 Ferrari brought the red flag out, so let's see whether he is permitted to continue.
He sits third, by the way. Christoph Ulrich third, so it's the 8 Kessel Racing Ferrari on professional pole position. 9 minutes and 42 left on the clock. The clock has stopped. The 88 EB Motors Porsche is the moment second quickest. Then it's the car that caused that red flag, the 51 Spirit of Race Ferrari. 83's Kessel Racing Manuela Gerstner is 4th quickest at the moment in the session. Then the AF Corsa 71 in the hands of Giuseppe Perezzini. Claudio Schiavone in the 77 Kessel Racing car sits 6th, and John Hartshorn at the moment 7th in the 50 car. The 4th Kessel Racing car.
So here comes the 51 of Christoph Ulrich, sharing again with Maurizio Mediani this weekend.
And a green flag comes out immediately, and away we go.
Right then, let's get back at it. Still plenty of time of the initially 15 minutes we had, down to 9.5 now. And I reckon the 51 crew will be instructed from the officials that they cannot rejoin the session because they were the reason for the stoppage. But they're looking into the engine bay there, and the glass cover over the engine not yet being removed. Needing to be careful about what they do with the car, because in the earlier European Le Mans Series qualifying session, one of the LMP3 cars was reported to the stewards for putting the car into the garage during a live qualifying session, and that's a no-no. So they're deliberately leaving it on the apron there, right in front of the 55 Spirit of Race crew who run in ELMS. Michelin Le Mans Cup, of course, have to do their pit stopping in a sort of satellite fashion because they don't have garages for the weekend. Right on the ragged edge there of adhesion was Sergio Pianazzola, almost backing the car into the right-hander at turn 9. He swoops through 10, up the hill to then 11 and 12, a double right-hander, and then back down the other side in this roller coaster of a 2.9-mile lap.
Yep, he's having his very own end-of-season party, isn't he, in this 9.5 minutes that remained. It's currently sitting pretty with just under half a second gap to the EB Motors Porsche. But Pianazzola seems to have so little in hand here, Johnny.
Yes, although he's been off the track there coming out of 15.
That was to set him up for a run through the final turn and to start a flying lap. Sticks within track limits there, though. That's all well and good. Into the shadow of the main grandstand and then back into bright sunshine.
Christoph Ulrich, by the way, has rejoined the session in car 51, so we're back to the 7, the full complement of GT3 cars, as skipping and hopping its way then over the rise there. The car as he goes very, very light at the top of these crests. And even more pressure then for these relatively inexperienced drivers to read the situation, to preempt the weight increase and decrease of the cars as it goes up and down around this fabulous track. Into the hard stop at turn 16, which is also downhill. And you need to get a good exit out of this because it determines your top speed through 7 and 8, but it's also uphill as well, so important to get good drive out of that 6th corner right by the observation tower. There's a large sausage-like curb on the inside of turn 9, so you don't want to be cutting that one and unsettling the car. And now a great sequence of corners at 10, 11, 12 and 13, and Sergio Pianezzola is up again through sector 1. That's an absolute best, but also set for improvement will be Manuela Gosner, Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Claudio Schiavoni as well.
It's a good lap coming together from Manuela Gosner. Could be a significant improvement there, but it's 2 purple sectors of the start, so there's a big lock up behind the provisional pole sitter. But he is on 2 purple sectors, coming to the end of the lap now. 6 minutes 20 seconds to go in the session. This is going to be a significant improvement from the 151.0, and we'll go through in a moment to
145.
145.
Blimey, 6 seconds clear of everybody else from Sergio Pianezzola. So 145.403. You're looking puzzled by that lap.
That was
exceptional.
Yes.
Unbelievable, almost.
But through goes Manuela Gosner, by the way. She's in a 147.9, 2.5 seconds back. But our Kessel Racing newcomer, Manuela Gosner, second now. So front row starts in the class for a new face to the Michelin Le Mans Cup.
Yeah.
5.5 minutes remain, though, for someone else to grab those bragging rights.
Yeah, Manuela did a full season of GT4 Euro Northern Cup last year.
In a Maserati, she did.
Yes, Scuderia Villorba Corsa, finished 3rd in the championship, actually.
Which would explain the link with our friend Mr. Seneggiotto.
There you go, okay. So you reckon they raced together maybe in 2017?
Just that they're racing for the same team.
Yes.
But it is a team with lots of arrows in their quiver. As through goes Pianezzola with another purple sector in sector 1. It's improvements all the way down the screen here. These tyres are coming in nicely, aren't they, in the warmth of the day. Every single sector bar 1 that I'm seeing on timing screens, Johnny Palmer, is an improvement. So these times, if not positions, are going to change, and change the better rapidly in the last 4.5 minutes of the session.
Yeah, and we've got down to 4.5 minutes very, very quickly. Obviously, the red flag paused things at about 9.5 minutes to go. Another car is going to have a lap deleted. That's the 88 EB Motors Porsche of Alessandro Baccani, having lap 6 deleted because of a track limit abuse at turn 6. That's got to be on the way out of that left-hander.
It's a marginal improvement for the pole-setting car. Pianezzola now 145.331. Through goes Manuela Gosner. It is 0.6 of a second quicker for her. She's under 2 seconds back now from Pianezzola, who seems to have this one pretty well under control at the moment. So Kessel Racing at the moment, it's an all Kessel front row, but at EB Motors would have split them had they not had that lap deleted. Baccani had done enough to go second quickest on that lap, but could not keep the 88 car. All 4 wheels on the racing surface. Will have to go again. Perezzini, meanwhile, he improves up to 3rd. So it's Kessel, AF Corsa, Spirit of Race, Kessel, EB Motors and Kessel once again. 8 from 83, 71, 51, 77, 88 and 50.
Sergio Pianezzola on course for a 4th pole position of the year then in that number 8 car, having taken the first pole position on offer at Paul Ricard in way back in April. Sat at the front of the grid at the Road to Le Mans events as well, at least for one of them on the Saturday morning, and at Spa a month ago, as the number 88 car in super slow-mo goes through the tight left-hander. That car has just had a lap deleted, remember. Big lock-up at the top of the hill at 14 for one of the Ferraris, and that resulted in a lot of tyre smoke. I don't think it was a full loop, it was just a slight misjudgment into that difficult corner at the top of the hill at 14. 2.5 to go, and here out of 16 now comes Christoph Ulrich. That Ferrari seemingly back on full song now, and over the line goes Ulrich. There's no improvement this time for the Swiss driver, but a 1:48.427 does put Christoph Ulrich 4th fastest in car 51.
Improvement comes in time, but not position from Pier Giuseppe Perezzini. He improves to a 1:47.5, getting to within a couple of tenths of Manuela Gerstner. Has been a worthy addition to this grid. He's edged back, by the way, by Baccani, who now goes 3rd. So his next go at it was not quite as successful as the one that was taken away. So now the Porsche moves up to 3rd position. Still an all Kessel front row. Ginazzola from Gerstner, under 2 minutes to go.
And EB Motors 3rd fastest. A little bit untidy on the exit of turn 6 was Christoph Ulrich there in the 51 Ferrari, still 5th fastest. The 71, driven by Pier Giuseppe Perezzini, is 4th quickest, and now approaching turn number 8. Round 9, which has a huge grandstand for everyone to view, that really impressive part of the circuit, and you don't want to be cutting turn number 9 because that will restrict then your top speed through the more or less flat out left-hander at 10. And everyone down in the pit garage is glued to the screens here to spot any further improvement. Well, it might come from Alessandro Baccani in the EB Motors Porsche. Likewise, Christoph Ulrich due across the line at any moment, and he's set 2 personal bests on this lap so far. John Hartshorn may be set for improvement as well, as that is a better time from Sergio Pianezzola, a 1:45.306, so he's gone even faster and still keeps the buffer to 1.9 seconds back to Manuela Gerstner.
Yep, he's shaving thousands off here, isn't he? Manuela Gerstner improves in sector 3, not enough to actually get her away from the clutches of Baccani, who I think may be about to join Ginazzola on the front row. We'll see what happens here as he powers the Porsche down towards the end of the lap. Just 20 seconds to go. He's going to get another go at this if he wants it. He does go second. It is 1.917 seconds back. Plays Manuela Gerstner's 1.953.
And we're still waiting for John Hartshorn to come through, who improved on the previous lap. Might be set for more improvement on this one as well. He'd gone blue through the first sector, which indicates a personal best, but the checkered flag is now out, and on that 7th lap, car 51 is going to have its time deleted, and on the next lap, the 71 car has a lap taken away as well. So they're both Ferraris. 51 a Spirit of Race entry, AF Corsa is the 71, and the 88 has a time deleted too. So Baccani was second, now back to 3rd position for EB Motors. Might be very grateful for this extra lap that Alessandro's managed to force out of the session. He's
going quicker than he's gone before again on this first sector. What can the Porsche do? I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to that pole position time.
Sergio Pianezzola still, by all accounts, on it, indicated by his very good sector times on this final lap. I was thinking the 8 car might pit at the end, but it'll be worth staying out, actually, to see what the number 8 car can do. On the ragged edge there of adhesion was the 51 Ferrari of Christoph Ulrich.
I don't think this lap's going to count for Christoph Ulrich. I think I spotted him going wide.
Well, it's a 1:47.482 that he's credited with so far. Let's see whether that is deleted in due course.
It wasn't in the final turn, it's before then. It was just all 4 wheels off, I think, but 4th at the moment in the order. Manuela Gerstner stays second at the moment. Where is Baccani, though?
Final corner. Here he is in the Porsche, the only Porsche in the GT3 entry from EB Motors.
Goes second.
Goes second with a 1:46.964, and he'll be keeping his fingers crossed now that that is a legal lap. But one thing is for sure, it's not going to be quicker than Sergio Pianezzola. There are thumbs up there from his teammate Giacomo Piccini, because it is a 4th pole position of the season for car number 8, and that means a clean sweep of the 2-hour race grids, I reckon. It was only at Le Mans where we had different pole position cars, so congratulations to them. No, I'm wrong with that. It was Spa and a Road to Le Mans race and Paul Ricard, the 3 poles before, so that is a 4th of the season. Yeah,
sadly for the 51 crew, I'm afraid I was right. The 51 car is pinged that lap. Let's wait and see whether or not No, 88 is being called a scrutineering, so they keep the lap. They stay second. It's a Ferrari and Porsche front row for the final race of the season.
Well, that makes things rather interesting, although Sergio Pianezzola seems to be a little bit of a class above here as far as the bronze-graded drivers are concerned, setting his sights, I'm sure, on the 2019 24 Hours of Le Mans after a cracking season in the Michelin Le Mans Cup and helped every step of the way by teammate Giacomo Puccini. So congratulations again to Kessel Racing, a 4th pole position of the season, and EB Motors, also with a pole to their name earlier on in the year, will have to be happy with a front row start. So that is the GT3 grid settled for the Michelin Le Mans Cup race, which takes place tomorrow, remember, Sunday race here in Portugal. We've got the LMP3s still to come. But first of all, some reaction from the pit lane. Let's head back to Charlie George.
Yeah, I'm with Sergio's teammate, Giacomo Puccini. Giacomo, some might think as the championship's already tied up that Sergio might take it easy. Clearly not.
No, definitely not. He wanted to make this pole position. He's driving very well on this track. He's quite tricky on the track limit, so I think they deleted a few lap times to himself, but he managed anyway to do the great lap. So we are happy to be in pole position also for the last race.
Well done. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Giacomo Puccini, the 33-year-old Italian, gold graded with the FIA, but it's his bronze teammate Pianezzola doing the business once again. And there's some slow-mo images of the 83 Porsche, Ferrari rather, and the 88 Porsche, but the 83 Ferrari is the new car in the camp. And congratulations to Manuela Gosner.
Yep.
Really, you know,
excellent.
Straight out of the box, fast.
Absolutely.
And we should expect that, really, after that great season in the GT4 European Northern Cup last year, where she actually raced on her own in that Maserati, didn't have a co-driver, and finished 3rd in the title standings.
There is the final classification for the final GT qualifying session of the year, Johnny.
Yeah, 1.6 seconds the gap then between Sergio Pianezzola's time in the number 8 Ferrari and Alessandro Baccani's time in the 88 Porsche. Then it was Manuela Gosner doing the qualifying in the 83 Kessel Racing Ferrari. She will start from 3rd position ahead of the 71 AF Corsa 488 of Pier Giuseppe Perezzini and Marco Ciocci. And now we turn our attention then to LMP3s, and there are 19 cars due out on track very, very shortly.
Fantastic collection of LMP3 machinery. It may be about to actually expand for 2019. A bit more on that, I hope, in the days to come. But by the look of things, with the LMP2 grid expanding in the ELMS by all accounts, it seems, it does look as if 1 or 2 teams might be actively persuaded to relocate to the Michelin Le Mans Cup in LMP3 next year, so we might be 20 cars plus next year in this grid. It has been a major success story in the switch to a mixed class grid in the Michelin Le Mans Cup, and it is producing the goods in terms of teams, well, graduating, shall we say that, to the ELMS with some success. Kyrgios Nielsen amongst them. DKR Engineering another, of course, as we start for the final 15 minutes qualifying session of the year for the Michelin Le Mans Cup under sunny skies here in Portugal.
And a reminder that the championship is already sealed by DKR Engineering. They have 103 points, but it is still pretty tight for 2nd place in the championship. There was never a Le Mans drive up for grabs in this category. No. That was the GT3 part of it. We talked a lot about Kessel Racing, but certainly for bragging rights and also, as you say, then, you know, getting drivers through the ladder system, which has been developed over the last few years by the ACO. Deliberately trying to get bronze drivers in LMP3 into baby prototypes, get them experienced, and then maybe into a position where they can move up into P3 in the European Le Mans Series, and ideally into P2, I suppose, in a number of seasons' time.
Well, you're going to see tomorrow, I'm sure, in the race when we've got the pro and semi-pro drivers involved as well, a number of names that can become very familiar indeed in sports car racing in years to come. Absolutely certain that young Huub van Utrecht is going to be one of them. But look at people like Leonard Hurt, look at people like Leonard Hergenboom. You're going to see a lot of these names, I'm sure, moving on to greater successes beyond well, the entertainment that this has been doling out all year, Johnny.
Yes, certainly so. LMP3 always a highlight for qualifying in ELMS, and no stranger to action is one of these sessions as well. They got a little bit longer than the guys in the ELMS. That was a 10-minute session earlier on today. This is 15 minutes for 19 LMP3 cars, but it's only a 2.9-mile lap, 4.6 Ks. There's not a lot of space out there then for all these machinery. And you might well find the odd car, like the number 3 DKR Engineering Norma, just holding back a little bit in order to earn itself some clean air. So over the rise out of turn 5, then the plummet downhill into 6, but it's Jens Pettersson who, well, the most nerve-wracking stint that he wasn't involved with at Spa, I'm sure, watching that man, Leonard Hugenboom, bring the car to the flag and to a championship victory.
I said it before, I'll say it again, Jens Pettersson, I think, in the form of his life this season, in the number 3 car, very experienced endurance racer, gentleman driver, but has been really assured this year aboard this Norma. So teams come around to start what will be their first quick laps. Tony Wells will be in the number 2 Kyrgios Nielsen car. The DKR car, we've just said, Jens Pettersson. John Schaumann in the Brookspeed car, number 4. RM Sports number 14 in the hands of John Ferrano. The number 20 car will not be taking part in this session after that big accident in free practice earlier. 21 from DB, Jens Wolf. Jim Maguire in the number 22 car, the first of the Garford 3. The 23 car, Richard Means. Alexander Poigny in Cool Racing's 24, the 25, London Racing, Mikey Benham. Then in the CD Sport number 30, Raj Hussain in the 32 United car. Then the Graf pair, 39 and 40, Trillier and Chia. And those two, Kia Racing, welcome back. Scheusner in the 43 car, 59's RLRM Sport car, Ross Warburton. Alexander West in the number 65 Grass Racing car. And the debutant in the prototype stakes in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Alistair McCaig in the 79 Kyrgios Nielsen car. And Eric de Donker in the 98 Motorsport 98 Ligier completes the lineup. So it will be 18 cars for what now remains as 11 minutes in this session. And it's time to get fast.
And the common denominator between all of those names that Graham has just mentioned is that they are bronze drivers, a key element to qualifying in both GT3 and the LMP3 classes as far as quali is concerned on a Saturday. And often, of course, these guys are qualifying and racing on the same day. So you might say a slightly more relaxed weekend, or, you know, a moment to think rather than cramming it all in on a Saturday, which is fun for us, but I'm sure rather difficult from a team's perspective, turning the car around between it being fast on a single lap to then making it quick across 2 hours. The drivers have to do a minimum of a 55-minute stint come the race tomorrow as well, whether you are bronze or silver or indeed gold.
First offerings for the majority of the cars, and to the top goes Alistair McCaig in the number 79 of Kyrgios Nielsen Ligier. Scheusner pops in second quickest in the 43 Kia Racing car. I think it's the second time we've seen that car this season. Eric de Donker third. So Ligier just at the moment. And then Adrian Chiller makes a liar of me by putting the 40 Graf car to the top, 146.238, 1.9 seconds clear of Alistair McCaig's offer. Just 2 cars still to set a flying lap. Something like a 7-second split at the moment, although 1 or 2 of the cars will not be yet up to speed. Jens Pettersson, championship winner, of course, he goes to the top, quarter of a second up in the number 3 DKR Engineering car.
Good time that time around as well for Fabien Leverne, the 33-year-old Frenchman. So Leverne goes third fastest for CD Sport, but it's Naj Hussain now to the top of the times by 0.8 of a second for Kyrgios Nielsen, and that's immediately bettered by Eric Trillier. But there's a big moment for the Brookspeed International car and John Schaumann into turn 6, backwards into that corner.
Yeah, rapid change at the top of the timing and scoring sheet. Scheusner, McKay, Poigny, Ferrano, Trillier, Wolf, Tony Wells and Naj Hussain have all had a moment in the sun. And Alexander West is the latest to go through. He's in a 1:43.263. This is about switching on those tyres and keeping them switched on. So Graf Racing, the number 65 Norma, as the number 14 car is in the gravel.
turn 5, the exit of that corner. And 14 being driven by John Ferrano, currently 4th fastest, but the RLRM Sport car facing the wrong way.
It's a red flag.
Unsurprisingly.
I thought he might have been lucky with the right-hand wheel not being in the gravel there, but it looks to me as if he was struggling to get the car started either way.
I think Eduardo Freitas counting to 10, giving John Ferrano enough time to get out of the scene.
It's in the line of fire there, I think, is the main reason for it. It's we've seen a number of cars go off then. What you don't want is someone else to make the same mistake, at which point you've got a much, much bigger problem.
That was a classic place for incident last year, I seem to remember, in the qualifying sessions and during the races as well. So we'll have to look out for that tomorrow during the 2-hour Michelin Le Mans Cup race and indeed the ELMS action from just after midday tomorrow. But session stopped with just under 8.5 minutes still to go. Colin Noble to the right of that shot, and also sitting and enjoying the session, James Littlejohn down at Ikuriakos Nielsen. Looking at their cars, 79, which is currently 2nd fastest, and the number 2 car, which is 7th in the standings so far.
So, with the clock stopped at 8.5 minutes, or just under 8.5 minutes, Graf Racing sit at the top. Alexander West, a debutant in the series, and en route, by the way, after this to a full season of the Asia Le Mans Series in LMP2 with Spirit of Race in a old school Ligier. So Alexander West, Swedish driver, ahead of Alistair McCaig, not Swedish, but Scottish. Then Cool Racing, Alexander Coigny. Did I say Alexander McCaig? Alistair McCaig. Before we get to John Ferrano, who had been sitting 4th in the 14, he's now sitting in the gravel. Then the 39 Graf car, so 2 of the Graf cars in the top 5. DB Autosports and their surviving car after the incident this morning for the number 20. And then Ikuriakos' 2nd car in the hands of Tony Wells. United Autosports with Raj Hussain. Lannon Racing with Mike Benham, and completing the top 10, Jens Pettersson in the number 3. I think just about all of that top 10, Johnny Palmer, had at least a moment at the top of the scoring screen.
Yes, you're probably not far wrong there, and it reminded me a lot of LMP3 sessions in the ELMS, when you get 10 minutes and often about 14 different names at the top of the times at one point. It's fascinating to watch, and we'll try and give you an indication of where the next quickest time is coming from. With 19 cars, let's hope 19 cars circulating in the next 8.5 minutes. It could only be 18, of course, because of the drama for John Ferrano, but he's going to be towed back onto hard standing.
There you go.
This is the time where he needs to be careful about getting rid of the gravel stones that are embedded in the chassis. Make sure that we haven't got any things like brake calipers and around suspension.
Shouldn't be too much there. He barely made the gravel trap. He was, a little unlucky there not to be in a position to restart. And this, I'm sure this session will go back to green when John gets the car back to the pit lane.
Yeah.
There you go, that's the rumble of a Nissan V8 up the hill, and that is some hill.
Certainly is. It's tricky to ride a bike up there. You'd much prefer to have a 5-litre V8 at your disposal.
And he has.
Thankfully. And this car should be permitted to take the restarted session as well, on the basis that other cars that have had spins at turn 5 have also been allowed to rejoin their relevant sessions. So through 10 goes John Ferrano. It'll be Alexander West to resume as the fastest car, a 143.263 for the Swede. Although my stats say, I think either born or lives in Helsinki in Finland, but is Swedish by nationality, 52 years old and graded as bronze. Lots of experience in all sorts of different endurance racing, including a couple of seasons in the International GT Open. He's done some Blancpain racing in recent seasons too.
Information to the pit lane, it will be on a very short call. There will be no countdown. I'm just waiting for car 14 to come into the pits. I will open pit exit without an estimated time and without countdown. We need to catch up the timetable. We are already quite late.
So it sounds quite grumpy on his birthday.
This is his birthday party, he's late.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yes, behind on the schedule, but also, we're preventing him from
green. I would suggest,
Lane is now green. Pit lane is now
right.
green. Session
There's a buffet to eat, for goodness sake.
Session has been resumed.
Wants to get that jelly and ice cream for later.
He likes jelly and ice cream.
Do you know that for a fact?
Absolutely, I've asked him. That might be a lie.
We'll have to organise some of that for tomorrow night's end-of-season party. I'm sure there'll be some on under his instruction. Anyway, into turn number 4 goes the leading car then. The best at the sort of the race to the end of the pit lane queue was the number 40, Adrian Schiller.
Now, I think he's got prospects to improve and improve substantially here. He's got a clear track in front of him. He will be wanting to make sure that stays clear because there's still a train of cars to come out, but he should get a pretty clear run at the first flying lap on this second half, effectively, of the session. We're at the halfway mark now, with that red flag interrupting it. So, of course, effectively, this is sort of dead time in the qualifying session.
Yeah.
Let's make the way down to the hairpin.
Lots of cars crossing the blend line there, I noticed, rejoining the session. I'm hoping that that's not going to be an issue in qualifying, but it will certainly be something that the teams will need to be wary of come the race, because that is a prime opportunity for an accident there as cars rejoin from the pit lane and others are looking to get the ideal apex at turn number 1. 65 with a little bit of new bodywork on the car. It's sort of, I think, a new, or maybe not a new nose. It looks to be a bit more black on that Graf racing machine at the front.
The Graf had seen the transition through from Ligier P3s to the Normas, now with 3 Normas in their squad in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. Blended that towards that result by the midway part of the season. Out comes the Brook Speed car, the number 4, hands of John Schaumann. The moment props up the order.
It's almost a deliberate decision there to rejoin well behind everybody else to ensure a clear track for the remaining time of the session. 6.5 minutes, just under.
Here we go. This is where it starts to get fast again. And all of these cars onto a flying lap. 6 minutes plus a handful of seconds remain. It should be, Johnny, an assured three laps for all these cars. Another big lock up there.
But I think the car escaped the scene. That was into turn 4 with tyres still coming up to temperature, pressures as well. As now charging its way down into turn number 6 comes the number 32 car and the 79 as well from Akira Kost-Nielsen, which is currently second fastest.
Yep, there's some quick times going to be coming here because we've got purple times lighting up the timing screens in front of us. It's,
yeah, so purple from Fabien Laverne again, who must have had a time deleted because Laverne was well up there before we went red flag. Something like third fastest, the Frenchman. So having to work hard again at the wheel of the number 30 CD Sport car. 0.770 of a second is the gap from Alexander West's time in number 65 Graf and Alistair McCaig in the 79 Akira Koss.
I think we're going to see this timing screen change like a machine gun at the end of this lap and beyond. Still remember, the number 65 Graf Norma is the top of the timing screens ahead of 3 Ligiers, Akira Koss, Cool Racing and RLRM Sport. Is it going to stay that way? I don't think it is. Alexander West is quick. Who might be quicker?
Next car over the line is the fastest so far. No, goes fastest. Fabien Laverne in the 30 car. So I said look out for that machine. 0.3 of a second now, faster than anybody else. 3 Normas to the top. And
indeed, Jens Pettersson briefly got there but was immediately shuffled back down by Laverne. So Laverne from Pettersson. Alexander West stays third for the moment. Tony Wells up to 4th in the number 2 Akira Koss car. Then Scheuster, then Alistair McCaig. All bar West and McCaig improved on that lap. Laverne is going quicker again. Pettersson is going quicker again. Tony Wells quicker again.
It's going to be a little bit of a wait before we see any more cars over the line, by the way, because they're all in one big clump, obviously having come out of the pit lane together. But the next car over the line is due to be Alexandre Coigny for Cool Racing, but there's no improvement so far in the first couple of sectors for the Swiss. So then we're looking at Jens Pettersson, who is set for some improvement, maybe.
But it's 2 purple sectors now for Laverne. Looking good at the moment for the number 30 CD Sport car. Don't count your chickens here. How many times, Johnny, have we seen at the checkered flag pole position going? Alistair McCaig going very quickly indeed as well. He, at the moment, Well, he's down in 6th position, but he's improved his first sector, and he goes purple in the second sector. He's going to be there or thereabouts at front row pace on this lap if he can continue that momentum into the final and through the final sector. Through goes Laverne. It's a further improvement from him, 0.9 of a second now ahead of Pettersson. Pettersson does not improve. Tony Wells goes second, just 2 tenths back. Where is McCaig? McCaig goes third, so it's a Kyrgios-Nielsen second and third. CD Sports number 30 car, the Norma, ahead of the 2 Ligiers from Kyrgios-Nielsen, Tony Wells and Alistair McCaig. Jens Pettersson now 4th, shuffled back by the improvement from the 2 Scottish liveried cars.
As McCaig exits turn 4 and rattles the curb at 5 as well. He's still pushing as hard as he can to just whittle out a few more tenths. Half a second he is adrift of Fabien Leverne's time, but then a Kyrgios stacking up behind the Frenchman. Car 2 faster than car 79. They're second and third quickest. Then it's Jens Pettersson in this car, the number 3 DKR Engineering entry. And that's actually the start of 3 more Normas, 4th, 5th and 6th, because Alexander West is still there for Graf, provisional pole sitter, but dropping now back to 5th fastest ahead of Mikey Benham for the Mikey Benham racing with Duncan Tappy, of course, in the racing car.
That's right, Mike Benham is pretty quick here.
Another change, and that was Kwani going 4th fastest in car 24. So Cool Racing up to 4th fastest as, again, the mass of LMP3 cars pour out of 15 and 16. So we've had the gap in the traffic. And now, with just under 90 seconds left on the clock, all of these cars will get one more go at it if this time isn't good enough. But Laverne finds yet more time. He'd already got provisional pole, and it's clenching of fists down in pit lane for CD Sport. They're continuing this stranglehold on pole position.
They've had a challenging day with the loss of their other car in FP2, but CD Sport have got a bit of a stranglehold here into the 141s. 141, 846 from Laverne now, the number 30 car. Half a second to the good from Tony Wells, who starts his final flying lap. There's a further improvement from Jens Pettersson, but he goes up and then falls back down again. He's lost that lap, I think. Alistair McCaig regains his 3rd position on the grid as a result of that. Huanyi stays 4th at the moment, so Jens Pettersson did indeed go 3rd quickest, but then had that lap taken away for track limits at turn 12.
Yeah, which is that corner there where the Cool Racing car is just working its way through. Cool Racing a little bit on their own in this session, as in gap ahead and a gap behind as well. You can be forgiven for thinking this is a private test day for the 24 car, because everybody else is circulating with each other pretty much. And the 30 car is more or less side by side with Adrian Schiller in the 40 on this penultimate lap, no, final lap of the session for these cars. Although the 24, now it's going to do well to force another lap out of this, actually.
It's not going to quite get there, is it? It's going to be, I think, the checkered flag for the number 24 car. It does. Kwani is going to be no better than 4th then. It's Tony Wells coming through to complete the final sector for what will be his final lap. I'm looking for where we might get significant changes here.
Spin for the 65 on the final lap for Alexander West, so that's not going to be an improvement for the Swedish driver, and might well bring gravel back onto the circuit as he recovers that moment. There is a change though, as Jens Pettersson goes 3rd fastest. So for DKR Engineering, assuming that lap was legal, we'll wait to see whether Jens Pettersson can hang on to 3rd position. But a tremendous effort from Fabien Laverne, returning to ACO Racing this weekend. And Laverne racing for CD Sport, a 141.845.
Paul Scheusner improves to 6th for Kia Racing, the returning team here this weekend. But it's going to be CD Sport, I'm pretty certain, that retain that pole position, Johnny. A 141.846, just too rich for the blood of everybody else. Tony Wells looks like he's put the number 2 Kyrgios-Nielsen car onto the front row for tomorrow. Remember, it's tomorrow the race, Sunday, for Kyrgios-Nielsen, the number 2. Then DKR Engineering and the 2nd Kyrgios car with Jens Pettersson and Alistair McCaig, the 3 and the 79.
What we have got is good single lap speed from both Norma and Ligier this weekend, although the Norma dominant in the hands of Fabien Laverne, half a second clear of everybody else. But great to see a Ligier to start on the front row with the CD Sport Norma. That Ligier prepared by Kyriakos Nielsen and driven by Tony Wells. Jens Pettersson, also in a Norma M30, will start from 3rd position for DKR Engineering, ahead of a Ligier from, again, a Kyriakos Nielsen. So their team cars will start 2nd and 4th on the grid. Alistair McCaig setting the time in number 79. Then 2 more Ligiers, Alexandre Coigny for Cool Racing in number 24, and Paul Scheuchner, who is on double duty this weekend, not only with the returning Kio Racing of Denmark, but also with Inter-Europol competition of Poland. Alexander West, unfortunately making a mistake on his final lap in 65, a spin at turn 14. Car did rejoin, but obviously didn't improve on that last lap, so Alexander West will qualify the car in 7th position, number 65, and 8th place to Mikey Benham, back at the wheel of his more regular mount for this year, Lannon Racing. He's also having his first taste of ELMS action this weekend in Portimão. A very, very busy session, as promised, really, by Graham and I. A 141.846, good enough for pole position, and well done to Fabien Leverne, who shares with his silver teammate Laurence Herr of Germany. It'll be Tony Wells in car number 2 to start from 2nd position tomorrow with James Littlejohn, and then the championship winners, Jens Pettersson and Leonard Hugenboom, from 3rd position, ahead of the other Kyriakos Nielsen car of Alistair McCaig and Colin Noble. 11th place United Autosports, 12th position to Graf Motorsport 98, 13th fastest ahead of RLR M Sport and the other United Autosports car number 23, qualified by Richard Mines, and he will be sharing with Christian England.
Looking down the time scoring, whilst there was a chunk of difference in the overall lap times scored there, in terms of the fastest sectors there's not a lot between the Normas and the Ligiers. The quickest Norma has a bit of an advantage in that first sector, but after that, both the 2nd and the 3rd sector quickest times, Johnny, scored by Ligiers.
Yeah, so I think we're in for a decent race tomorrow between the 2 different chassis, and far from other races earlier on this year where maybe one has looked slightly more dominant than the other. Maybe this circuit is a leveller. We will find out. And of course, the 2-driver element, the fact that each driver has to do a minimum of 55 minutes, and the pit stop as well, which, yes, okay, it's a minimum pit stop time, so therefore you can't go as quick as you want to. It's a policed time from pit in to pit out, but it does add that extra variable. Car number 8's been reported to the stewards for taking the checkered flag twice as well, but that car, number 8, was
a GT car.
GTR Kessel Racing car, which took pole position. So maybe that now is in doubt. They've got the championship though, so that's the most important thing. We'll find out tomorrow. From Graham Goodwin and from Johnny Palmer, thanks for your company and see you on Sunday.